going on despite that we objected. He is sworn in. When there's a huge cloud hanging over his head, we have indicated that we respect the rule of law, the process in the law process, which is fundamental. But at the same time, if there's a huge cloud hanging over a comrade's head and that matter is not cleared, you can't give that comrade further good massive responsibility, like taking the comrade to parliament. Parliament is an institution where members take an oath of allegiance to the republic to serve the people. Now, a member that has just been questioned for some transactions when he was in leadership of ESCOM is sent there to take a new oath. They don't take oath in some of those executive positions that they have. That's why they sometimes believe that they can do as they please. In parliament, you take an oath. Now, how serious do we take our people if we allow such kind of things to happen? So that's the point that we raised, and we objected to it. We have raised this point again in our bilateral discussion 2 weeks ago to indicate that he must never be brought into any executive position. And all these are disregarded. We find that it is uncomradely, it's not accepted, and our commitment to the alliance should not be abused, particularly on the basis that we know that the Communist Party is too disciplined. It will keep quiet even when we do wrong things. No, we can't keep quiet when wrong things are happening. Therefore, we will not necessarily say we know the motive, but we can speculate. We have raised issues. There's no doubt about the fact that, in fact, in our bilateral discussions, I've got a document here, which unfortunately this one I'm not going to share with you. It this was on our discussion with the ANC on the 13th of March. This document, mine is 14-page document. Under this document, we have tabled about 30 critical points for consideration by our leadership under 5 key categories. One was on governance, where we're addressing even problems of corruption. Corruption in state-owned enterprises or state-owned companies and agencies like SASA, PRASA, DINEL, SAA, SABC, and so forth. ESCOM, institutions that we feel are critical to drive the second radical phase of our transition and to drive its radical economic content. If those institutions are paralyzed, disrupted by a corrupt environment, how are we going to drive this program as a liberation movement and through our state and political power that the people have bestowed on us? So we've raised these questions in our discussion with the movement. We've raised challenges facing our movement broadly: factionalism, gatekeeping, bulk membership buying. We have said to the ANC last year, before this year's bilateral discussions, we have known, it has come to our attention because our members are also in structures of the ANC. And I think that's the point that comrades must know. There's nothing that you can do in the ANC literally that will not come aware of. It's almost impossible because we share membership. In the bulk buying process of membership, people were actually using voters' roll to enlist members of the ANC just so that they can increase their membership for conference. Now, that's unacceptable. And if leadership, when we have requested it to make interventions to stop this kind of things, they do nothing. Because some of the factional intentions or processes that abuse organizational procedures are people that will support them. They keep quiet about it. You can't run an organization like that. That is why we have condemned those things. So we discussed the questions of challenges facing our revolution and our movement in particular. We also discussed the problems of course, this question of factionalism. We have indicated the fact that it affects all of us in the alliance. If it affects the ANC, it goes into COSATU, it goes into the party, it goes into SACP, and as well as our mass democratic formations that are associated with our liberation movement. So that's why we have to deal with it decisively. And we have called on the president to be presidential and be above factions and come out openly and condemn factions, particularly the known ones, those that have been given names. I don't know if City Press is here. But City Press gave the name of the Premier League faction. And later on, the factionalists are now saying, no, this name came from the Communist Party. It did not come from us. It came from the City Press newspaper. So the leadership must be able to come out openly and be above factions and unite the movement. But if you associate yourself with activities of a faction or are seen to be, then you will not be able to play a unifying role at the level of that national leadership, which is the task of leadership, to unite the organization as well so that it can effectively implement its programs. Therefore, we also discussed this question. I feel that maybe it's important just to give you the summaries of the 5 key points. We discussed the question of the reconfiguration of the alliance. That question is still undergoing further discussions. But from our perspective is that the conditions have largely changed since 1994 or post-1990. And to the extent that the conditions have changed this way, the modus operandi of the alliance needed to adapt to the new realities and changes. And therefore, we need a reconfiguration of the alliance to operate differently. We need perhaps to even have a clarity on this question of the prerogative right. We fought towards Polokwane on the basis that there was too much centralization of power outside the ANC. And we're affirming that the ANC is the real center of power. Of course, the alliance is the center of power too. When we are trying to do that, was to try to address even this question on the exercise of the prerogative right. That this right is a tool of the revolution. It should not be exercised to serve narrow patronage and self-interest. It must be used to unify and to deepen our revolution, to advance our revolution. So that is why this matter comes up again. So we've raised this particular question again, particularly in the concept of the reconfiguration of the alliance. It's a matter that we will put it up for further discussions, and of course other methods that require the reconfiguration process. We discuss as well this question of the abuse of security organs for political ends. You will know we've raised these concerns previously. We have taken up even the abuse of the walks. In the run-up to Polokwane, it was a similar problem with the Scorpions. We changed them to try and make sure that they focus on the national priority of fighting crime. Instead, some of them allowed themselves to be abused and used by political leaders. We want those institutions not to be abused by anybody. That is why, for instance, we have seen a situation where there's been an incessant chase of former liberation fighters. You can mention, for instance, McBride, Dramat, and many others. So our comrades can't lead these security institutions because they are marked to fail by particularly operatives of the former apartheid special branch who tortured our comrades, who killed and buried our comrades in secret graves. We reconciled with them and included them into the new democratic dispensation on the basis that they are all South African. But we never thought that when they are given responsibility to lead, they will allow abuse of power and now begin to chase our comrades. That we reject and we won't accept as a Communist Party. Our comrades cannot be tortured by their former torturers under a democratic dispensation. That is why this section on abuse of security organs, we have highlighted it clearly and we want it addressed as a matter of agency. So it is in this regard that this rogue intelligence unit should not be allowed to distort relations in the movement, relations in government, to mislead political leadership so that they can embark on taking wrong issues. This question, this intelligence report that we now know, I received another one, which I want Maso to share with you. It's a heavy one, it's 41 pages. I don't know, Maso, how we can make this possible. Yeah, we can make it available on email. This one is from the Bell Pottinger group. The PR support for the Gupta family, that's what is written. I received it anonymously. I want to distribute it openly. There's no problem with that. Even that one that is now being used to remove our comrades, to threaten our comrades who are doing well, like Comrade Praveen and Gabisi, Jonas. If they have, those that I have, I know one newspaper wrote about it. I hope that they can share with us, like others have shared anonymously. We'll make it public so that the people can make a judgment. We cannot be led by rogue elements outside formal structures who wants to destroy our revolution, who want to destroy our government. So that's the point that we're raising. With regard to whether the ANC officials agreed with the reshuffle, the briefing, we were all together in the meeting, but it was largely to us because the ANC officials was to still have a meeting with their president. We rejected that as the Communist Party. They remained in the meeting to further have a discussion. We do not know what happened in that discussion. But for our side, we did not agree with the intention to reshuffle, nor with the motive, nor even with the intended replacements. It's as simple as that. But we have convened a Politburo taking place tomorrow, on Friday. It's a normal Politburo on our agenda. You can see our air planner there behind you. It's there. So that Politburo is taking place tomorrow. It will definitely discuss this matter as an urgent matter that needs the attention of the Communist Party. Okay, yeah, thank you very much. I'm sorry for taking too long on these questions. I hope. Which one?
Mine was, what would be the implications for removing Cousin Gordon for the alliance and the ANC?
Oh yeah. Extremely important.
Can I just also...
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you can also that's not a problem. Let me just talk to this question, Gamathats, and then I'll allow Comrade Malika to speak to one point. The first one is that, you know, the last decision to remove Comrade Nene, it is said by statistics, economic statistics, that the country lost between 89 to 100 billion rands during that period. That was the calculation of the immediate period before the sense of recovery. We don't know when the rand got weakened and it peaked at that particular level, how much more we continue to lose. Particularly the pension funds, which were heavily affected, because they are the ones that have invested all over the world. And these are pension funds of the workers. So much that apparently, if you were to calculate your pension fund pre that decision and after, you will find a huge difference on the basis of impact of that particular decision. Now, it is very important for the revolution to notice this, that a country, a developing country like ours, with of course features of a developed country somehow, because if you go to Santen, for instance, you feel like you're in a developed world. A country such as ours overall cannot afford gross mistakes that makes it lose over 89 billion rands in a period of a month or two. And if people take decisions of that nature, they must be accountable for their actions. Now, you can't continue to repeat similar things for whatever valid reasons you put forward. And this is not to say Praveen is not a minister serving in Comrade Jacob Zuma's cabinet. No, it doesn't mean that. But what it means is that that department is an extremely sensitive department. It must be treated with care. It must be handled with care. We must not allow the parasites and the vultures to encircle it and loot it completely, which is almost like what is intended to an impression is created that now we will open the floodgates for everyone to go and loot that particular department or through that particular department. Because you will notice that, for instance, some of the key departments will require strategic relations with other countries or even businesses and so forth that they enter into to be approved by that particular department. Take, for instance, ESCOM or DINEL. All those things that were delayed for approval because they would not have met necessary requirements. Those requirements are critical. And therefore, the leadership in that department, we need good, sober leadership, not populist. We, as the Communist Party, have not always agreed with the political posture of that particular department. But we have also noted that that department is not a department isolated from government. It's part and parcel of government that we lead. It's our department. It's not some outside department. It's not a consultant to government. It's a government department. So its policies are policies of government. So they should not be made scapegoats when it suits certain individuals. When there are successes, there's collective responsibility for the successes. So the positions that they take are within government policy. If they need change, they must change policy of government. Then that department will implement these new changes. But for now, we feel that any action that is taken that may lead to what we saw in 2015, serious action must be taken against those that are responsible. Because it can't be that people can just go and take any decision that affects the lives of our people and they get away with murder. No, it can't happen like that. It shouldn't happen like that, actually. There must be accountability. In fact, that will be a gross nature of violation of accountability, actually. So it shouldn't happen like that in a democracy. So we feel that all care will be taken, will be considered to make sure that such a decision, when it is appropriate and when it is taken, it has taken into account all those problems. But at the moment, we don't agree with that posture that may seek to further harm our economy. And also, I think it is really pathetic. How can you believe that a minister with a delegation of business and trade union leadership organize an investment trip to go and lure people to come and invest in our country? Possibly a group of investors controlling no less than 2.5 trillion US dollars portfolios. These are the people that can actually take decisions at a whim if they are given proper assurances to come and invest in our country. We are looking for foreign direct investments. We are not saying foreign direct investments is the be-all and end-all of economic investment, but that's critical. How can you even believe that such a trip is a trip against the country? I mean, this is the thing that we should not be treated like children, really. And even our people, even those that are not politically conscious, they will read this thing quite clearly. They won't believe this thing. And that is why in a real and proper action need to be taken to avoid coming to conclusions to taking such kind of decisions so easily. It shouldn't be on the basis of the behest of an individual. I don't like this comrade. I feel now it's time I've received some report, then I take action. No, it shouldn't be like that.